The Philadelphia Eagles are winning free agency before free agency even begins, and I'm here to tell you that they are not done yet. Howie Houdini has a couple more tricks up the sleeve, including another big re-signing that could be on the way very soon. We'll talk about that, and the Eagles have a little bit of drama in the locker room, but I'm here to tell you why it does not matter. We'll get into it all, but welcome into A to Z Philly. I'm RB. Do me a favor, like this video, go down below, hit that subscribe button. You can check me out on my socials at RB Philly Take. But I cover the birds every single day. And of course, yesterday, as soon as I was out for the day, boom, they make another move. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. The last 3 days, they've made big moves when I'm not home. So maybe I need to go on a road trip or something. But nonetheless, Howie is working. All right, and as you probably have all heard by now, I did make a quick reaction reel in the car on the road, but the Eagles re-signed all-pro linebacker Zack Baun to a 3-year, $51 million contract. They keep around their guy, and Zack Baun is the only player in the NFL to have 30-plus tackles, 2+ INTs, and a forced fumble in a single postseason. He's also the first player to have 150-plus tackles and 5 forced fumbles in a season. I mean, from a numbers standpoint, this makes all the sense in the world. The guy was absolutely unbelievable, right? Insane story. He comes over from New Orleans as a special teamers. You move him to inside linebacker. Vic Fangio sees a little something in him. And from a minimum contract to $17 million per year, all-pro, Super Bowl champion. But beyond the numbers, if you go back and you watch the mic'd up version of the Super Bowl, just hearing the guy's leadership, just hearing how much of a good personality and just an energy, a vibes bringer he is to this team. I mean, it's just the right move. And it speaks to me beyond the move itself. It tells me 2 things about Howie Roseman, okay? Number 1 is that he lives and he learns and he watches others and he learns as well. If you go back a year ago to the Giants and the mistake they made in letting Saquon go out and talk to teams and hit the free agent market, you would have known that, hey, there's a chance here that Zack Baun goes and talks to, one of the worst teams and gets a huge, massive deal and never returns, right? So Howie Roseman looked at a couple other situations and said, there is absolutely no way that I can let Zack Baun go. There was like that video that surfaced a month ago where he was talking him up. Howie Roseman was not going to let Zack Baun leave. He made it the priority. And that speaks to number 2 for me, is that Howie Roseman is just so situationally aware of everything going on. And I really do think that he listens in to some of the local outlets, whether it's, radio, podcasts, whatever. He never used to do that, and he was heavily criticized. But if you notice over the years, the players that he's brought in, the players that Eagle fans love and want to see, I mean, he's really kind of like aligned himself with the fan base. Now, I'm not saying that he should do that all the time and that he needs to listen to the fans to do his job, because he's obviously a highly ranked executive and individual. But, when there are these players and there are these obvious moves that sometimes teams overthink, it's like Howie always makes the right decision. And Zack Baun, I mean, the guy was incredible. You get him at 17 a year. He's the 4th highest paid linebacker now. I mean, obviously it's a high price tag. He's 28 years old, and this is his first big contract. You could also look at it as, hey, he's fresh. But nonetheless, even let's say the last year that deal ends up bad, Howie did not let him go out and get 20 a year from some team that was willing to overpay. So the free agency period doesn't open up until next Wednesday. Tampering period's on Monday. And he made that the priority to get it done. And here are some of the extensions that he's made over the past couple years. And just incredible work by Howie to lock these guys in, even earlier than expected, even with Saquon the other day. It's just brilliant GM work. And I think he's done so well in this area for a long time. But also, he's gotten so much better in the balancing act, right? 13 draft picks in the top 3 rounds from 21 to 24. Look at these names, man. I mean, he has been automatic on every single player. And I think nowadays, given the salary cap restraints, when you can balance the young players and the prospects and let them contribute now like the Eagles did this year, but also have that ability to sign those vets and, find those hidden gems. I mean, look at the team that you can create. Now, another player that the Eagles probably are going to try to bring back, even though I don't know if it's possible now, is Mekhi Becton. However, this certainly helps. All right. Brandon Lee Gouton of Bleeding Green Nation puts out an article and reports that Mekhi Becton prefers to return to the Philadelphia Eagles. And if we go over to this article, he says here, I'm told the preference for Becton is to re-sign with the Eagles in free agency as he is comfortable with the franchise that helped him reclaim his career. However, it's a matter of whether Philly can fit him in the budget. It may take a while for Becton to sign with the team, hence I don't see something happening immediately once free agency opens. Now, there's a lot of situations like this over the years, right? Guys take hometown discounts. If he doesn't want to take one, I'm not mad at him, right? He got his ring. He revived his career. Maybe a team's willing to pay him, 10 times with the Eagles, or I don't know, there are desperate teams out there that need offensive line help, and especially when you look at how the Eagles were so dominant in the trenches, maybe a team's willing to invest more in that now. But nonetheless, I think Becton reclaiming his career is very important, right? They called him a bust with the Jets. They said he was fat and lazy and that he would never make anything of his career. And he comes here, and here was the quote that he had earlier this season about this Eagles team. Quote, the offensive line bleeped the whole team. They welcomed me as if I've been here for my whole career. It's just made things easier to just have people that put their arm around you and say, hey, come on, you got it. We're here with you. You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to go through anything alone. So, he's had many comments and interviews and press conferences about Jeff Stoutland, and he loves the way that, his magic just gets put onto these guys and they become Pro Bowl guards and tackles and centers. So, I would not be surprised if Becton's willing to take a little bit of a pay cut to stay here, because there's something about really having that love for your craft and being able to, find that again. And I think he has that here. I really do. And I think as long as the Eagles don't cut his pay in half and try to, cheap him out. I mean, these were real tears he had after the Super Bowl. So I think he'll want to stay here. And I think that's your next big priority. I'm not ready to put the crown on Howie for the whole offseason. But the fact he's making these moves already, and we're not even at free agency yet, right? The Saquon extension, cutting Slay. Apparently they might be able to bring him back, getting rid of Bradbury, and now they're trying to get Becton back. Who knows what happens, with Milton Williams and Josh Sweat. But I feel like guys in the trenches like that are much more replaceable than a Zack Baun. Like Zack Baun is the commander-in-chief of the defense. He's the leader. He runs everything, and Howie Roseman did not make the same mistake that he did 2 years ago by letting TJ Edwards walk to the Bears, and he had a tremendous season the next year. Another guy is Isaiah Rodgers, and what a quote by Isaiah Rodgers here on Twitter. He says, when I'm driving, I wonder if people understand they just drove by a Super Bowl champion. I love it, man. I love it. He's confident. He's happy in himself, and this guy might be able to come back and have a chance for a starting job here in Philly. And again, just great work from Howie to even pick him up for nothing when he was suspended. Now, lastly, just want to highlight there's a drama going on today with the Eagles locker room, I guess, or things that were said. And honestly, this is why I said earlier in the season that it's not always a good thing to have these players doing their podcasts and media stuff. And now, almost trying to be the new media in a way. Some of it's very good, but some of it leads to stuff like this, where Darius Slay on his own podcast was talking, one, about the Eagles secondary and who the leader will be if he ends up leaving. And he said, Reed Blankenship, being around me and a lot of vets, I'm sure he could lead that group the right way. That's who I feel would be leading the group. If I'm not in the building, he's a great damn leader. Now, he was trying to give Reed Blankenship a lot of credit here and say that he believes in him, but at the same time, C.J. Gardner-Johnson apparently took it offensive, or people on Twitter are now debating and discussing, and these tweets were ended up deleted in just a couple hours, but CJ went on a whole rant, a whole vent about him and Quinyon and Cooper and, Reed Blankenship and he's not putting anybody down, but he says, last vet that replaced me helped y'all get to the door in the wild card round. And, CJ's went at it before with Eagles fans. I just don't like all the drama. And honestly, I don't care. This team is Super Bowl champions. They won. Who cares about what they're saying here on their podcast? Now, the other thing that set it over the ledge a little bit was Darius Slay saying that Joe Burrow, Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen are the elite quarterbacks, and he didn't put Jalen Hurts in that list. Now, again, the good thing here is that they already won the Super Bowl. There's nothing left to prove with this season, with this cast. But Darius Slay may be on the way out as well. So if he is, it is what it is. Thank you for your service. And, go play one more year elsewhere. Earlier in the season, I said that he shouldn't be on a podcast during an Eagles-Cowboys week with Micah Parsons. He blocked me on Twitter. He blocked anybody that had that opinion. And, again, these are some of the reasons as to why this stuff gets in the way a little bit. Just a little bit. Do I think this is going to mess up the chemistry in the locker room? No. But guys talk about these things. A.J. Brown was responding on Twitter, going at the Eagles community. Then he deleted his tweets. It's just too much drama back and forth from these players, talking about these other players and their teammates. So anyway, at the end of the day, I don't care one bit. Slay can say whatever he wants, whether he's here or not. We'll see what happens. Jalen Hurts is an elite quarterback. This is an elite team, and they're coming back trying to win again next season. But the next priority is to get Mekhi Becton back. If they cannot bring him back, if they cannot bring Sweat and Milton Williams back, I think Howie will do a very good job in the draft and just bringing a couple more mammoths into this building. So those are my thoughts. Give me yours down below. How do you feel about the Baun re-signing, and who do you think's next? Give me your thoughts. Appreciate everybody for tapping in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.